keep you in my heart. And my heart is where you are. I still think of you. I want you coming back. I remember when we were staring at a photo. Don't forget the way you look me in the eyes. And I keep you in my heart. And my heart is where you are. I still think of you.
Hello again, Flosstube friends. Welcome back to my channel, Pages and Stitches. That's spelled pages, the number 3 stitches, both here and on Instagram. My name's Kelly. We just had a video post like 2 days ago, and I'm back because I'm gonna do a WIP parade. I had intended to film this a little bit sooner, but it took me a little while to get everything kind of put together and get all of my ducks in a row. But I think I'm ready. I'm once again sitting on the floor in front of my stitchy spot, which is now it's now my 3rd year in a row to film my WIP parade from this spot. So sticking with tradition. I have all of my WIPs laid out right here on this side of me. I've got Milo and his bed over here on this side of me, along with my notes. And we're gonna just go through everything and talk about it all, and then talk about some plans for 2025 at the end. This might be lengthy, so grab yourself a beverage, get a snack, get some stitching, and then come hang out with me for a little bit while we talk WIPs. So I'm gonna start at the beginning. I have everything written out in chronological order. We're gonna go through oldest WIP first, and then progress through. I'll show you what I finished, what I started, and what's coming up. So let's start with my oldest project. And I have nothing ironed. It's all gonna be wrinkly. I'm sorry if that bugs you. I just knew that if I had to stop and iron all of my WIPs, like, this was never gonna get made. It's just gonna have some fold lines and some wrinkles. I think we'll live. Okay, so the first WIP and my oldest WIP I have is this project here. This is a dimensions kit, just a regular dimensions kit, not the gold collection, just regular, and it is called Frederick the Literate. I started this project in January of 2022. It was my New Year, New Start back then, which was also the same month I started my Flosstube. Like, I kicked it off with a New Year, New Start. So this is where my project is currently. So I am at the top bookshelf, and I have completed the entirety of this quadrant. So all of the back stitching and all of the border and everything is done for this top left-hand side. I'm working my way across to the right-hand side of the bookshelf. The halfway point is like right in the middle of this book right here. So I've got a little bit on this section. And then once I do that, then I'll go down and do the bottom shelf. Frederick, I'm stitching it with the kit, everything, the fabric and the floss. It's on a 14 count black Aida, and it's 2/1. I think 2 or 3/1 full cross. There's no half cross. I think it's just 2/1. If it's 3, there's a gold metallic blending filament with it. Since it's one of the non-gold collection kits, it's one of the easier ones. So this, because it is my oldest WIP, I think is going to be my focus project for 2025. In the past, it had been a different project. But I'm not gonna double back and make that my focus project again. I kind of did away with focus projects in last year. So I don't know, we'll see. But if I'm gonna have a focus project, it'll probably be this one because of the fact that it is currently my oldest WIP to date. And he's so cute, look at him. Look at his little face. All the little books. The thing I love about WIP parades, especially my own, is I get to revisit all of my old projects that I haven't touched in a minute, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm ready to stitch on you again. So I'm ready to stitch on Frederick again. Okay, my next oldest WIP is one that I started in May of 2022. Now this is the one that I had as my latest focus project because it is also my largest project. But I did away with it because I got burnt out on working on it over and over again. I was just kind of like over it. Except now, you know, it's been long enough that I feel reinvigorated to work on it again. But I still don't know that I'm going to keep it as the focus project for this coming year because of the fact that it's just not my oldest WIP. And I feel like my oldest WIP should be the one that I focus on. Anyways, let me stop yapping. The project I'm talking about is this one here. This is the Pointed Fifth by Log Dog Sampler. So I am stitching this project 2/2 full cross with my own color palette. I'm stitching it on a 32 count Lugana in the color Exotic Orchid. And like I said, it's my biggest project, so let me do my best to hold this up so that you can see it in its entirety. Okay. Okay, is it in frame? I can't tell. Let me lean. There we go. Okay, so this is where I got to. I finished the middle portion there, and then I started working my way across the top, and I got burnt out just about, this is the middle point right here, and that's where I got burnt out, and I was like, I don't want to work on this anymore. But also, I need to frog the 3 in 2023. I started this in 22 and I thought for sure I'd be finished with it by the end of 2023, and that was just a laughable goal. I mean, if I was monogamous, it's not that funny, but I'm not. So I don't know why I thought I could finish it in 2 years, a year and a half. So I'm going to take the 3 out, and I'm not going to put another year in there until I'm done with it. Because obviously that was the kiss of death. I jinxed myself. But yeah, there we have it. So I'm ready to work on it again, like I said, but I don't know that I want it to be a focus as of yet. Hopefully by the time I finish Frederick, I will have more progress on this so that when I focus on it after that, it's not, I don't get burnt out on working on it again. You know what I mean? But just so everybody knows, because I know some people have asked in the past what colors it is I'm using. I'm using these colors here. So I'll bring it up close. We've got 154 and 3834 as my purples. These are the frame. The rest of them are the colors I'm using in the little motifs in the middle. So I've got a 814 as my dark red. These are pink. These 3, 3731, 3733, and 3774. So you've got a dark pink, a medium, and a light, like a very light. I've got 2 different colors of white, one that's kind of an ivory and one that's more of a cream. And that is 3770 and 746. And then I have 2 golds. The dark one is 3829, the light one is 3852, and then I have a metallic DMC Diamond gold that I'm using as the sparkly accent. And I'm just like, I'm just improvising. I'm not mapping out the colors ahead of time necessarily. I might look at a motif and think like, I want the crab to be red, or I want the bird to be gold or whatever. I'll just kind of work the rest of it around that if I have any of those thoughts. But for the most part, I'm just like seeing what I've used nearby, and then I'll use a different color, and it's working out pretty good. So the next WIP that I have in my rotation, I started September of 2022, and that is this project here. This is Luna Mystica by Bella Filipina. And I have done a conversion on her. I've converted her hair and her skin so that she's a black mermaid. Instead of a white woman with gray hair, she's a black woman with dark brown hair. And I'm stitching her on a 32 count linen in the color Mediterranean Sea, 2/2 full cross. And here is where she is. So I just kind of have her booty done. I've got the base of the moon started, and then you can see her skin and her hair has gone in. At least her torso, her arm, and then her hair. I haven't done her upper back and her shoulder, and then obviously not her face. And then the metallics there are super shiny and pretty. I love the way those look. So yeah, she's not small, but whenever I do devote some time to her, I feel like she goes relatively fast. The only thing that's not in yet is the beads. I've got, like, I'm working the metallic as I go. Obviously, you saw the sparkle. But she's got a lot of beads too. There's lots of beads hanging. There's beads in the flowers in her hair and around her shoulder. There's beads in the flowers of the moon, and her mermaid tail is bead. Even she has strands of beads, like garlands of beads in her hair. So there's a lot of beading. And I did have to convert some of the metallic and the beads in her hair to be brown. So I have, her hair is like a gray color. So the beads in her hair and the metallic in her hair is like a icy color or silver. So I have two different browns, one that's more gold and one that's more chocolate, and then a chocolatey copper bead. I think it's literally the color copper bead to put in her hair. So here's the bag of beads for the project. I'm telling you, she's heavily beaded. She's gonna be a heavy project whenever she's finally all beaded up. I'm excited to work on her again. You know how, like, I'm sure you do, if you have enough projects, after a while you kind of forget what you have in your rotation. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now. Like, I kind of forgot about her. And now that I remember her, I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to work on you again. This next one is actually a common favorite among many of the subscribers because they always have lovely, kind words to say about it. And that's this project here. I started this project. This is Mushroom Sampler from Cute Patterns by Maria on Etsy. And I started this in October of 2022. And I am stitching it on a 16 count Aida in the color Brandywine, 2/1 full cross. And here's where it is. I love this one. The colors are so fall and warm and just rich, and the back stitching is really, the way it's designed is really unique, and it creates so much depth because you're not just backstitching with one color. Most mushrooms have like 4 or 5 backstitch colors, and I love all the little like bubbles and the little botanical leaves. It's so cute. So I've got to do another mushroom here and then the bottom row, and then it's done. It'll be about 10 by 10 when it's finished, and I love it. I definitely need to go back to Cute Patterns by Maria's Etsy shop because I've seen a couple of other floss tubers stitching on things by her, and she hasn't missed yet. I've liked everything I've seen. So I need to go back and look at it. Look at her shop again. Here's the colored palette of all the mushrooms. Look at how rich and warm. It looks like a campfire. It's so pretty. Beautiful golds and browns and oranges and reds. I love it. I have to stop that now because that's another thing is like right after we start doing our WIP parades, we start saying like I love it and I miss it about every single one of our projects. Okay, my next project is this one here. This is called Cozy Cub, and it is a Dimensions Gold Petite collection. I started this, when did I start this? February of 2023, so I'm coming up on 1 year for this one. And it is being stitched on an 18 count ivory Aida, and I believe it is 2 or 3/1, both full cross and half cross. And here's where I got to. got his little facey face put in, and I started doing, this is the stripes on Mom that he's laying on Mom's little leg, it looks like. And then once we start getting into, so he's all full cross, and then once we start getting into Mom in the background is half cross, and I think the foreground, yeah, even the foreground on Mom and then the foreground on her tail, all of that is still full cross. There's, I mean, most of the half cross is back here, and then everything else is full cross. So this is definitely like a full coverage. The gold petites and the gold collections in general are always a little bit more advanced in terms of requirements and like skill requirements. So I think that holds true for this little guy too. But isn't he so cute? He's so cute. I haven't done any of the back stitching, and I'm gonna wait to do back stitching because the pattern is so confetti heavy and it's small enough I can just do the back stitching at the end. Okay, this next one is one of my absolute favorites. I love all of my projects, but I have some that are like my favorites. And this is definitely high on the list. So that is this project here. This is a DesignWorks kit called Queen of Silk. It's one of several DesignWorks kits that I have in my rotation right now. And I started this one in March. No. Yeah, I started this one in March of 2023. It is stitched with all of the kit materials, and it's on a 14 count natural Aida 2/1 full cross. And here is where I got to last time. So I have finished her back up to her neck. This is her neck here. And all the way down to the back of where the kimono is draped. And I've backstitched completely her tattoo, which is the dragon, and then the back of her waist, and then the hand, all of the lines up through the skin are backstitched. Yep, and including the top, like these first folds of fabric on the back of her kimono. But she's so, like, she's gonna be big. This is, look, her torso is basically the size or the height of my face. And there's still all of this. She's gonna be a big girl. But I think, God, whenever I finally finish this one, I might cry because she's so beautiful. I love geishas so much. And since I'm doing the gorgeous geisha style with Tammy, which I'll talk about later, this works perfectly for that too. Oh my goodness, I love her. I almost want to like keep her out. She's just so pretty. Like, look at this kimono. Look at it. Look at how detailed. Oh, that's wild. And then there's all of these cherry blossoms up here. She's a stunner. And you can't tell me otherwise. Okay, this next project I actually started because of Laura of Stitching by the Shore. Side note, any Flosstubers I mentioned, I'll have their channels linked. I saw her stitching this project on her channel and I fell in love with it. And so I went out and bought it straight away. And that's this one here. This is Black Vintage Sampler by Al Forrest Embroidery. I am stitching it on a 32 count, 32 count? Yeah. I'm stitching it on a 32 count copper metallic linen, Belfast linen, with my own color palette. I'm not doing the black. I'm doing a color palette inspired by like a steampunk kind of era, because Victorian things always make me think steampunk. It's like, and especially considering there's like a submarine and a dirigible and hot air balloons, they're all very steampunk things. So that's kind of what I was leaning into with this. And I got to this point, not very far. I'm just right there in that middle section where the horse and carriage is. And the fabric is super shiny. I love it. We've got the horse here. We've got the birds with the flower, a little black cat, which I used green eyes for to represent my heifer, my kitty. And then I started over here on the carriage, and I got part of it in, but that's where I stopped. And let me show you the colors that I'm using. So this is my color palette that I came up with. These are all very steampunk-esque colors. I have my gunmetals and my blacks, my leathery browns and grays, and then my rusty reds, and then golds and creams. And then this teal here is supposed to be like a patina, like when copper oxidizes, much like the Statue of Liberty. So that is where that color palette came from. So they're mostly going to be, this project is mostly going to be in these colors, and then I'm going to use this one kind of sparingly as though like certain things are getting oxidized. But then I also have, I'm using a gold diamond that I'm blending with the gold here, and then I'm using a teal diamond, like a coppery, or I'm sorry, a sparkly teal that I'm blending with the teal to give it an added little sparkle, because I love to add sparkle to just about everything. And just like with my long dog, I'm just kind of improvising. I'm not planning anything out necessarily. I'll look at it ahead of time and kind of see where I want to travel with my stitching, and then decide, you know, how I can use the colors in that motif. But again, I don't have it like mapped out in its entirety ahead of time. This next project I started in April of 2023, and that's this one here. This is a kit from Imaginating. It's called Happy Everything, obviously. It is aptly named, and it is kind of a little representation of the different holidays that you would see in a calendar year from January to December. And I loved that because I'm not a seasonal decorator other than like a Christmas tree. I'll keep everything out year round, especially my stitching, just because it's got a Christmas or a Halloween or whatever kind of theme. I stitched it, so I'm keeping that puppy out all year round. And then on top of that, I also like to just wish everybody a happy whatever they celebrate. So this is like the perfect embodiment of all of that. And I'm stitching it on an 18 count beige Aida 2/1 full cross. And this is where I got to. So I have every, I have the every of everything. And I got a little bit of the summer motifs in there. We've got the beach and the sailboat with the sunshine, and then the garden here with the flowers. And then last time I pulled this out, I actually realized I forgot to do the little carrot tops. There's little green backstitched carrot tops there. So I'll have to remember to fix that. So I'm thinking when I pull this out again, I don't know if I'm going to keep going through the everything. Probably. I don't know, but I probably will. I'll either keep going with everything because there's still motifs that get put in around here, or I guess go the other direction. I don't know. I think I'm going to keep going with everything because I have all the little symbols up through there done, but I have more letters. So I need to start doing like the back to school and the blah, blah, blah. I love this. It's so cute. And Imaginating kits, I don't see a lot of out there. I love them though. I'm definitely gonna buy more for sure. This is for sure a smaller project, so I don't know if I should hold out hope of finishing it in the next year. I think if I focused on it, I definitely could, but this will probably be a 2026 finish. I don't know. We'll see how far I get next time I work on it. It's deceptive because it looks like it's not that much, but it's a lot of color changing for such a tiny little stitch. You know what I mean? The next project in my rotation, I actually managed to finish and fully finish. And I'm going to just show you the finished project instead of showing you the pattern because I have it finished. Why not? So this one is also unique because I have it fully finished as a scrapbook page instead of just in a frame or as a pillow or, you know, whatever. I stole that idea again from Laura, Stitching by the Shore. She talks about scrapbooking her smalls, and I snatched that idea up because I thought it was a really smart one. So I went ahead and started my scrapbook, and this is one of the projects that I have finished in there. And that is this one here. So this pattern was designed by James the PH Stitcher, who's a fellow Flosstuber. He generously sent this to me to stitch, and I jumped on it. I started it right away. I started this in April of 2023, and I finished it in October of 24. The early part of October. And I'm stitching it, or I did stitch it, on an 18 count natural Aida, 2/1 full cross. And that's how it came out. So it doesn't actually match the pattern. He also gave his blessing on his channel when talking about this pattern to personalize, and I did a lot of personalization on this one. So I changed all the colors to fun, bright colors that I picked at random. I changed the scroll frame to include like a black cat work in progress. I put my channel name. I put black work in here instead of the title of the piece. I took, in this spot right here, there was floss away bags, which I don't use. So I duplicated the skein of floss and just changed the color. Over here, there was an Ort jar, but I don't use an Ort jar. I just toss them. So I duplicated the needle minder. And then I added metallic flosses for the little Krynic spools and the Mill Hill beads. And I put these little backstitch doodles kind of all over the place, which I think are super cute. Yeah, this turned out really good. I like it a lot. I love how bright and colorful it is, which is why I put it on this green shiny metallic paper and then on this butterfly paper underneath, because it's very bright and cheerful and fun. That's my first finish from this rotation of projects for the year. So the next project that I have to share with you, I started in May of 2023, and that is this project here. This is a Paula Vaughan pattern called Spring Remembered Part 2. Spring Remembered Part 1 is shown there on the back, but this one's Part 2. I started this one for Mother's Day back in 2023. Because my mom has a finished Paula Vaughan that I have hanging in my bedroom, so I just kind of wanted to jump on that same theme. And this is where my project is. So this is a 32 count Lugana, antique white Lugana, and I am stitching it 2 or 1/1, both full cross and half cross. And let me try and fold it a little bit. So I've started the rocking chair. That was the last thing I did. And I put in some of the flowers behind this little picket fence. I finished back stitching the fence, the flowers, and then the bonnet. And then I got started on this pathway in between the two fences and the little basket down here. And then there's a couple of crosses in the quilt that's draped over the arm of the armchair. So when I bring this out again, oops, wrong one. When I bring this out again, I'm going to keep working over here on this side where the rocking chair is and all these flowers back here, and try and flesh that out before I come down this way, and then work more into the quilt to go back to the other side. But isn't it, it's precious, isn't it? It's so pretty and cute and dainty and feminine. I love it. I definitely want to go hunting for more Paula Vaughan leaflets from Leisure Arts. I know that she's got some books that aren't terribly difficult to get a hold of. You can get them on Amazon. But there's some leaflets that aren't in those books, those patterns that aren't in those books, that I think are really pretty. So I need to snatch those up. My next project, I'm calling Victorian Dollhouse. It's not actually given a name. I got it on Etsy a while ago before I knew the dangers of buying from Etsy and from people who are probably reselling pirated patterns. You can always tell when they're pirated because they're like $3, among other things, but that's one of the tells. And the thing is, I couldn't find the original seller A viewer a while ago showed me that she was able to find it in a magazine from a while ago that was, I think, a Mexican magazine. It was entirely in Spanish, but I think she said it came from Mexico, with cross-stitch patterns, and that's the only other time I've been able to see this pattern. I've had other people guess that it's a Joan Elliott, and that's not correct, or that it's from this kid or that kid, and none of the, I've researched every hint somebody has given me, and the only one that is correct is from that, whatever magazine that was. I can't even find the name of the magazine. Or maybe I just don't know that it's the name because it's in Spanish. I don't know. But anyways, I bought it, so I wanted to go ahead and stitch it. But that being said, it won't be linked down below because it came from a pirated Etsy shop. Anyways, it's this project here, which like I said, I'm calling Victorian Dollhouse. I am stitching this on an 18 count white Aida 2/1 full cross. And this is where I got to. So this is the center room staircase with the little black cat. And then I'd finished the border around that room, and then I got started on this room next to it, which has some really gaudy wallpaper and like a little frame hanging. So I did all of the back stitching in this room, and then I did the back stitching of this little frame here because all the stitching around it was done. So when I pull this out again, I'm going to keep working in this bedroom. I mean, it's quite a long bedroom, right? So I've just gotten this bit here finished. So it's going to be like a pretty sizable pattern, and it is so cute. So it's a shame that, you know, I can't give credit to the original artist, but I don't know who the original artist is. And I haven't been able to find it on any other location. But it's no less cute, and I still love it, of course, even if it is one of my illegitimate children. This next project I started with a dear friend, Amy of Fiber Arts Amy. I'm actually working on 2 buddy stitches with Fiber Arts Amy. You'll see the second one later on. But this one we started together because we both had this kit, and that is this one here. This is In Her Garden by Dimensions Gold Collection, and it is full coverage, and it's stitched on an 18 count ivory Aida 2, 3, or 4/1, both full cross and half cross. And here is where I got to. So I'm up here in this top left corner with all the flowers. And this part, where is it? So this part is the last bit of background before her hair starts right here. And I'm just kind of working down like at an angle, doing a little bit of a cross-country method. Certainly not extreme cross-country, just kind of like filling it out as I go, kind of down in an angle. And yeah, that's where I got. A lot of people, they've got stuff to say about dimensions with the 4/1 full cross or half cross or whatever. But I find that if there's 4 threads, at least in this pattern, it's only a half cross. And I find that that's kind of the extent of what I'm comfortable using in a dimensions on an 18 count. Whenever there's patterns out there that show like a 5 or 6/1, I just bring it back down to 4 because you can't tell the difference. But 4 I'm comfortable working with still. There might be spots where you still kind of have to tug, but it just looks so good. The background, all the greenery and the brown is entirely in half crosses, but all the flowers are in full. And it looks dimensional. So this is another one that I was just so excited to get back to. It's so pretty. Look at how beautiful. Gosh, I just love it. So it looks like, as far as I can tell, she is the only thing that's backstitched. The rest of it is more like, almost like a watercolor. So she's backstitched, and then her shawl here with the hanging fringe, That's done with cording, so and cording and couching, so that'll be my first experience with that. But I'm not worried about it. I haven't done it before, but I'll figure it out. Gosh, she's so pretty. So this next project, we are up to July of 2023. This next project I started is my birthday start, and it is another one of my absolute favorites in my rotation. If you were ever gonna pick favorites, this is one of them. And that's this project here. This is Golden Gate Avenue by Kooler Design Studio. I love Kooler Design Studio patterns. And I started in the middle with the brown house. I'm stitching this on an 18 count white Aida 2/1 full cross. And this is where I got to last. So I've basically finished the second story in its entirety, except for backstitching in like this half. Yeah. So like the roof up to this little section and then up to here, that's all needs backstitching still. But this half and then the tree here is all done and backstitched. So, and then this is the page break here. This tree goes over here to this side. So I'm probably going to finish out the tree just to complete this little section instead of leaving a harsh like page break line. I'm probably going to finish out the tree. And then this is the top story that I have done. So then I'll go down this way and finish the middle house and then either work left or right to the yellow or the purple house, depending on what I feel like. But oh my God, I love this project so much. I don't know what it is about Kooler Design Studio. I don't know what it is about the style. Nancy Rossi designed this one. Something about her charts are just so cute. I don't know, Kooler Design Studio just does it for me. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing this project again. So the next two, I'm actually going to show you together. I started the first one in August of 2023 and then finished it in October of 2024. And then the following one I started in September of 2023 and then finished in October of 2024. I have them both scrapbooked. They're both smalls, and they're in the scrapbook side by side, even though they're not related. They're just two projects that are side by side. So I'm gonna show them to you together so I don't have to take them out of the scrapbook. And that is, this project here is the one I started in August. This is a Riolis kit called Dreamer or Dreamer Cat, depending on where you buy it from. It is stitched on a 14 count beige Aida or tan Aida. It doesn't say in the kit. It is 1 or 2/1, either full cross or half cross. And I started this one for Carla Bean Crafty's Black Cat birthday sale in 2023. And it is all done. And then this one, here is Arranging Mushrooms by Ink Circles. It is stitched on a 16 count pewter green Aida, 2/1 full cross. And I started this as a buddy stitch with Laura from Lala D Stitches. She and I both had this pattern. We decided to stitch it together. And I finished them both in the same month. Like I said, October of this year. And so they got scrapbooked side by side. So I'll kind of bring you in closer so you can see those two. You can see the colors. And it looks really great. I love it. I love sometimes whenever you have like a quick little stitch, because starting them and finishing them is very satisfying, right? Because you have the dopamine from doing both of those things. This next project is the other project that I'm working on with Amy of Fiber Arts Amy. We started it together because we both have this kit and we both loved it, so we started it together. And that is this one here. This is Listening to the Silence by RTO, and it is being stitched on a 14 count light gray Aida, 2/1, either full cross or half cross. And let me open her up. So this is where I got to. I've almost completed her face. I still have to do the forehead and then this side of her chin here and her cheek here. But everything that's there, I have backstitched. So I have the nose backstitched, the eyelashes and the eyelids and the eyebrows. And then her lips, or at least the line in the middle of her lips. I don't think all of them are fully backstitched. It's almost done. Her face, I mean. And then I have part of a finger in there. So her hand is like doing this number and it's right here. So that I've got part of her finger and then some of the other fingers curling down. And then everything surrounding her is either going to be like hair or flowers. And most of the background is in half stitches. But look how detailed and how beautiful she looks. She's got some very pink cheeks, but I like them. I like her pink cheeks. And I love the way they use color. It's hard to tell, but like the shadows on her faces are blended with purple, and there's browns in the lips and all sorts of blues in the purple flowers. It's just wild how they use color. Her eyebrows are like pink, but they don't look pink whenever you're looking at them like back here. They just look blended. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. And I don't know how far along Amy is, but maybe at this point she might be further along than me. But we started in September of 2023. Who knows when we'll finish? So in October of 2023, I started a Nora Corbett project with Paula of Stitching in High Heels. We started our Snapdragon projects together at Queen City Stitch Retreat. She saw that I was going to start Snapdragon when I got there. She said, I have that, let's start it together. And I said, absolutely. So we both started it at the first Queen City. We stitched them until they were finished and brought them to the last Queen City, this one that was just in October. And we displayed them together and it was fantastic. So here is my finish. It is not FFO'd. It is the only finish I have this year that is not FFO'd. Everything else is either framed or in the scrapbook. This one is going to be framed at some point. I just haven't done it yet. So I have stitched her on a 32 count linen in the color Serene from Picture This Plus with all of the called fors. And there's only 2 beads. There's the copper beads around the wings, the gold color, and then there's the purples in the dress. But she looks fantastic. I love her. So she's gonna be framed. I just haven't taken her to the framer to order. What I'm gonna do is the same thing I do with my other pieces that I frame, is order a custom frame, but then frame it at home myself. But I'm thinking I'm gonna take her to Michael's to order it. Since she's beaded, I either will have to use spacers or mats, and to get the mats cut to the sizes that I want, I'm just gonna take her to Michael's. I think that'll be the easiest. So yeah, there's Snapdragon. She's a beaut. Love her. And Paula stitched hers on a mystery pink. She said that she doesn't remember where she got that fabric from. So, but it's an entirely different vibe because the pink is like a warm pink. So it totally just like, it's crazy the way 2 different fabrics will completely change the feel of the same project. And so we really enjoyed comparing and contrasting our 2 finishes together. The next project I'm going to show you, I also started in October of 2023. It is fully finished and it is scrapbooked. I just started it on a whim randomly in October, and then I finished it in July of 24. So not quite a year. I think I only worked on it twice and then it was finished. And that is this project here. This is a pattern from a Just Cross Stitch magazine that I altered, and I'm trying to remember the name of the pattern. Dance in the Moonlight or something like that. If that's incorrect, I'll put it on the screen. But it's also different because there was words of whatever it said. I think it says Dance in the Moonlight, and I took the words out. And then there was also fireflies in this section here, but I took the fireflies out because I didn't like them. So I just did the Luna Moth and then the top border and the bottom border. And then I scrapbooked it with these two Luna Moth pieces from Tammy of Cinnamon Stitches. She is an artist, a painter, and she has her artwork for sale on her website. You can get it in the form of prints, you can get it in the form of bookmarks like I did. I got a bookmark and I got a tag. And they matched perfectly with this pattern, so they were perfect for my scrapbook. And this is stitched on a 20 count Aida in the color Purple Passion, 1/1 full cross. And I love the way it looks. I love a Luna Moth. This next project I started in November of 2023 as a buddy stitch with Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher. She had 2 copies of this pattern. I happened to win the second copy as a giveaway on her channel. And we decided we were going to start it together since now we both have it. And that is this project here. This is Come to the Garden by Teresa Kogut. So Beth is stitching hers as is with the called for everything. I, however, did a full conversion into a more cool toned nighttime scene in said garden. Mine is a totally different take on Teresa Kogut's original pattern. So I just have a little bit started. This is where I got to. This is a 36 count linen in the color Cornflower Blue from To Die For Fabrics. And the colors are obviously much more cool toned. So what was a warm olive green, I made more of a teal green. What was a red or an orange, I made a pink or a purple. Anything that was kind of a light white or brown, I made a cream or a pink or a silver. Yeah, blues, I turned to purples. So this is just where I started kind of in the middle with this motif, and then I worked down and did a little bit here. So let me show you my colors. So these are the colors that I came up with. So we've got blues and greens, pinks, purples, silvery whites, there is black, and that is where I just kind of took what was already in the pattern and then made it similar but cool toned. And it's come out very kind of almost like it's got like a vibrant like moonlit glow to it, which is what I was going for. And I love it. This is my first experience with 36 count linen. It's not my favorite, I will say, but I don't hate it. I think I just prefer 32 or 28. And it's entirely possible I would have a better go with it if I had chose to do 1/2 instead of 2/2 like I'm doing. But oh well, it looks good. So I'm gonna keep going. I know Beth is definitely making more progress than me, which, you know, that's the story of my life here. But I am still really enjoying working on it with her. The next project that I started in November of 2023 is this one here. This is Marty Bell's Enticing from Jeanette Cruz Designs. And it is a tiny little thing. I think it's like 5 by 9 inches or something like that. And I am stitching this on an 18 count ivory Aida 2/1 full cross. And it is all full coverage. So it's my smallest in terms of full coverage pieces. And it is also the project that I have in my rotation that has the most colors. It has 79 colors for just this tiny little thing. And here is where I got to last. So I started in the middle, which goes up somewhere here in the middle of this door handle and kind of straight up. So I started there, got part of the door, and then started working on these yellow flowers and bricks to that side there. And it is beautiful, but there is also a ton of back stitching, and it's like really intricate back stitching where there's a million different colors of it, and it kind of overlaps each other. So I'm gonna wait and do all the back stitching at the end because I don't want to confuse myself if I do it as I go. But this one is another one that I have to like actively make myself stop working on, or else I'll be working on it monogamously because it's so pretty and it's so fun. And then the other Marty Bell patterns that are featured on the back here, every time I see them, I'm like, yeah, I need to get those because they're so gorgeous. But I don't think you can get Jeanette Cruz designs. I don't think you can get these from Jeanette Cruz Designs anymore, unless you buy them like on the secondary market. So I'll have to go hunting for them. So the next one I started in December of 2023, and that is this one here. This is one of my other Design Works kits that I have going in my rotation at the moment. I think I have 3. I just had to take a break for a minute because my phone told me my storage was full, and then I sat here for an hour and unloaded a bunch of attachments and photos and storage. I'm sorry, it is 2025. Why shouldn't my iPhone be able to hold more than it does? Instead of freaking out every time I send too many GIFs or TikToks. Anyways, okay. I'm over it. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. I am up to December 2023. This is a Design Works kit called Friendship Teapots. It is an old kit that they no longer have in print. You can tell because it's the old Design Works logo, and yeah, it's just not available anymore. And I am stitching it on an 18 count ivory Aida 2/1 full cross. And here is where I got to. So this little teapot right in the middle is done in its entirety. So it is fully backstitched. And then I started on the plate and teacup on either side of it, as well as the lace shelf that it's sitting on. So this guy, I finished right here in the middle. And I started over here and over here. So next time I pull it out, I'm gonna finish one of these teapots and plate, or teacup and plate combos on either side of it, and then continue on with the little lace doily shelf that it's sitting on. And then once I finish this, I think what I'm gonna do is work up and finish this part, because this part is gonna go much faster considering it's just words. But I am loving this. This is why I love Dimensions kits, because they're so cute. And they just look so good. Look at how well those blues blend. And then the highlights on the gold. It looks good. I love it. The next project I have to share with you, I also started in December of 2023. And that is this one here. This is Winter Solstice, designed by Joan Elliott. And I'm stitching this on a 36 count linen. Yeah, 36 count. 36 count linen in the color Perplexed by Today for Fabrics. And here is where I got to. So I finished the tree in the center, except for the roots. But there is a space right here, and then it gets into the sort of Celtic knot root here at the bottom of the tree there. So I got the full trunk and then the tree. And then, so when I pull this out again, I'm either going to go down into the roots or get started on one of the fairies on either side of it. But I tell you what, stitching these little leaves, which are, I think, 7 stitches each, those were annoying. At least after I did the bajillionth leaf, I was pretty well done with them. So it's nice to have this done. So this, I'm actually stitching 1/2 because I'm using a 310 pearl cotton instead of the 310 6-stranded cotton, because then I just need the one. I don't have to double it up, which is nice. And it's looking pretty good. The coverage is nice and thick right there. There's a little bit of fabric that peeks through, but like you can only see it when you're right up on it. So like when you're back here, can't tell. I shouldn't have showed you. You would never have known. So that was everything that I had started before the year 2024. Last year, 2024, I worked on that entirety, the entirety of that rotation, and then I started a couple of things throughout. First and foremost, I'm gonna have to do pictures for this one because I don't have it. I started this project here. This was my New Year, New Start for January 2024, and I have since finished that project. It has also been fully finished in a frame and then gifted to a coworker's daughter, so that's why I don't have it here with me. But it is a Riolis kit. The name of the kit is Forest Calendar, and I stitched it either 2 or 3/1 full cross on a 16 count blue whip Ada. The kit came with a 14 count natural. I subbed it for a 16 count blue whip. I feel like natural is a lot of kits like go-to fabric. If like it's either a white or it's a natural, because that's just what it is. And I personally love using other color fabrics. So I subbed it for that sort of steely green blue color that I think looks really nice with the colors of the threads. And it got framed in a Michaels stock size frame. The frame is 12 by 16, and I just kind of centered it up, and then it went off to its new home. And I'm told that she really, really likes it. So that's a big thumbs up for me. The next 4 that I'm going to show you were all starts and finishes. They were all started and finished and fully finished within the month of September this year, September 2024, I guess this last year, September 2024. I just kind of caught a wild hair, decided I felt like starting some stuff and finishing some stuff. So I started some smalls and then I finished those smalls. So I'm going to show you all 4 at the same time because they are scrapbooked in my scrapbook, and they're all on the same 2 pages. And they came from this book that I got off of Amazon, which is a collection of fairy patterns. I stitched 4 of the birthday fairies, which are also like ballet dancer fairies. I stitched July, September, June, and March. Yeah, I stitched those 4. And then I did convert, they all were in very similar skin tones and hair colors, and I converted some of their skin and hair so that they look a little bit more diverse. But other than that, these are my birthday fairies. So that one is July, this is June, the sunflower over here is September, and then this one here is March. And I love these little girls. They're so cute. The other conversion I made was their wings weren't entirely filled in with white. I just decided that since I was putting them on a non-white fabric that I would go ahead and fill their wings in with white. And I stitched them all on a 20 count Ada in the color Purple Passion. And it is 1/1 full cross. Let's see if I can bring you in for a little bit closer look without the glare. Yep. I love these little ladies. They came out so cute together. So that, of course, they had to be scrapbooked together. They're super cute. Oh, and there's Milo. He jumped up here. Say hi. You wanna lay down? You just gonna sit there? Yeah. He's not a very kissy boy. He doesn't give kisses. He might lick your hands or your feet, but he doesn't kiss your face. We'll see what he does. He's just gonna chill there, I guess. His bed is right here on the floor next to me. He was laying there. So the next project that I worked on, I will have to insert a picture for because I don't have the cover picture. I inherited the pattern from my sister when she kind of gave up cross stitching as a hobby, and she passed on all of her supplies to me. That included this pattern here, which is called Mariner's Light from Dimensions. It's one of their minis, Dimension Gold Petites, or I think it's a Gold Petite. And so what I did was I found a Dimensions DMC conversion list online and then kitted my project up from that conversion chart. And I am stitching mine 1 or 2 over 1, both full cross and half cross on an 18 count white Aida. And this is where I got to. I started this in October. This was my new start this year at the Queen City Stitch Retreat. Last year it was Snapdragon. This year it's this one. And I am almost entirely done with the full crosses. So this is the bottom corner here. And then the rope border that goes around is right there. So I have this section here of full crosses left, and then the rope border, which is full cross. And then the rest of the background is all half crosses. So this was all done in just a couple of days at the Stitch Retreat, and I got pretty far. I was really pleased with my progress. Some of my table mates were even like, man, you are moving at a fast clip for this one. And I was like, yeah, I'm not mad about it, you know? It looks really good too. I love it. So I started this one for the Let Your Lighthouse Shine Sal, which was started by Andrew the Runner Stitcher, Laura of Lala D Stitches, and then Alex of Salix Stitches on Instagram. And they started this a while ago because they all had lighthouse patterns that they wanted to start. I was late to the game, but they said I was still invited, so that's nice. Then in November, I started a sal of my own with my buddy Tammy of Tammy Cinnamon Stitches. We decided that we both love geishas and Japan and the culture there. So we created a stitch along to sort of honor our love for that culture. And so what we did was we created the gorgeous geisha sal, and the whole purpose was to stitch or start a geisha themed pattern or stitch on one that was already in your WIPs. Just give you an excuse to pull it out again and continue to work on it. So I started this Mira here. This is Miss Dancing Flower by Mirabilia. And not only am I doing this for our sal, but I'm also doing it as a mini Mira, because that has kind of taken off in the last couple of years in popularity. Obviously, it's not a novel idea. People have been doing it for a while, but a lot of people, especially after seeing so many in at retreats and whatnot, have kind of jumped on the bandwagon, myself included. So I'm doing this one as a mini Mira as well. And here is my progress. She's so teeny tiny. So this is being stitched on a 28 count linen in the color coral, like an opalescent coral from Oak Crown Studios. And I am stitching it with all the called for 1 over 1 full cross, but I am substituting the beads. All these gaps that you see are beads, and I'm substituting those for metallic flosses in matching colors. So I'm going to save that for last. But yeah, I did a decent amount for my start here. I think if this was a full cross, or I'm sorry, a full size cross, it would take me a lot longer to get this much done. So this is the back of her kimono here. There's like a bow. Let me see here. There's like, it's what looks like a bow. The fold of a bow right there that kind of comes down the back. This is that top corner of that there. And then this is the back of her torso. And this is the over the shoulder kind of floral element on her dress. So her shoulder and her neck come up right here. But yeah, she is so fun. I loved it working on this. I'm excited to work on her again. And of course, you guys are always welcome to join us in the stitch along. You didn't have to have started it in November. You can start it whenever you want. There's no expiration date. You just pull out a geisha pattern, one that you want to start or one that you have started, and just put some stitches in it and hashtag it gorgeous geisha sal. This next pattern I started at the very end of December, so a couple weeks ago. Not the very end of December, like halfway through December. Still, a couple weeks ago. And it was originally supposed to be my New Year, New Start, but because I was so excited to start it and couldn't wait for the new year, I've chosen a different project as my New Year, New Start. But the project that I'm talking about is this one here. This is called Mini June Flowers and Radiance by Artisy. And I'm stitching it on an 18 count white Aida, 2/1 full cross with all the called for colors. And this is where I got to. So I started in the bottom left corner, and this part here is the table that the flowers are sitting on. And then it's got like, there's like this lip in the table. And then it comes up to the surface of the table up here. And then up here is background. And then this dark part under here is the shadow underneath the tabletop. So you can see what I'm talking about here. See how this table kind of has like a step or like a little lip right there? That's what I was talking about. And then shadow, background. So right now there's not a lot of exciting color happening right now. Although, I mean, there's lots of green and gold and blue and gray and brown and black. Like there's a bunch of colors going on in here because it is a decent amount of confetti. In spite of the fact that this is a mini and not a full size. So the mini has 39 colors, the full size has 89 colors. So in spite of that, like the detail that a smaller and fewer colored pattern is still able to achieve is pretty impressive. So I kept thinking about that as I was working on it, how impressed I was with the way colors used to blend and to show texture is actually really cool. So this is the edge of the first page. The page is probably going to go to about here-ish. And it is 4x4 pages. So I'm going to do a page at a time and see it emerge over a while. So since I got an early start on what was supposed to be my New Year stitching, I picked another project as my New Year New Start. And that is this project here. This is another DesignWorks kit, and this one is called Mother Nature. I've had this one in my stash, burning a hole in it, and I've been excited to start it for a while, and this was the perfect excuse. I didn't have to wait to kit it up because it's a kit, so it's already all the supplies you need. So I broke it out, and I got started on this on New Year's Eve, going into New Year's Day. So I'll show you how much I was able to accomplish in just that little amount of time. So it is currently in the Q-snap. I'm not going to take it out of the Q-snap because I'm going to keep working on it for a couple more days. But it is being stitched on a 14 count, like dark tan. I didn't find a name of the color of the fabric. It's just like a dark beige or dark tan. Anyways, this is where I got to. I started right here in the middle, which is right there. Is the middle, and the pattern is split in 2 pages, so I'm working in the top page. I'm not necessarily going to finish the top page before I go down to the bottom. I'll probably do a section here and then go down and do a section here and then kind of work across the split that way. So there's no like hard lines necessarily. I mean, I've done patterns before that are split in 2, and I've done the top and the bottom split, and it's fine. Like this project right here is my Ophelia, which is a Mirabilia pattern, and it was split like that, and I did the line, and it's totally fine. Like you can't see where it's split, but just to make sure there's no like crazy lines in the middle, I might just do that. But it looks really cool. And again, like looking at it as it is, you would think those colors are not blending. Like that's a weird use of color. But then every time I think that, I refer back to the pattern, and she's wearing like this gossamer dress that is meant to be sort of see-through that also then fades down into sort of the foliage. And so these colors that are like white and pink, and then it goes into like green and blue and yellow, like those are correct. That's the way it's supposed to look. So this right here is the knee, and that's what this is right here. This is her knee. So those colors are the correct colors. I checked a million times just to make sure I wasn't messing it up. But the other thing is, I think the photo of it is a little bit washed out as well, because the teals and greens that are used are a little bit darker in real life. So like, this is like a very light blue. It's hard to tell. This is actually, this little stripe of what looks like white is actually a very light blue, which is clear when you look at it in person. But when you look at it on the pattern picture, it looks a little bit like washed out. So you can't really tell that it's a very light blue. But yeah, this little patch of teal and orange over here on the knee and gold is, I mean, that's what's used there. It's just, I'm trusting the process. I've done some patterns before where I kind of had to trust the process because as I'm putting them in, I'm like, wait, these colors don't look right. But I double check it and they're right. So I'm not worried about it. I was worried about it, but I'm not now. I checked it enough times to know that it's right. So that was all of my progress and all of my patterns that I started and worked on throughout the last year. So I just want to go over real quick what I'm planning to do for 2025, and then we'll sign off. Because he's getting sleepy, aren't you? Aren't you, bud? You getting sleepy? You want to go night-night? Come here. There we go. So, as far as my rotation goes, I really only dedicated enough time to my rotation last year to get through it once. I'm fully anticipating that I'm only going to be able to do one more pass through for 2025. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm expecting to only get through it once. Looking back on my stats for this past year, I was able to put my hands on 31 projects in total, and 9 of those projects were new starts, and 10 of those projects I managed to finish. 9 of the finishes I was able to fully finish. The only one I wasn't able to fully finish yet was Snapdragon. So I started the year with 23. By the end of the year, I had gotten my total to 31 in terms of WIPs. I have finished 10, and 9 of those 10 finishes are fully finished. So what that means is, as I go into 2025, I'm taking 21 projects with me. So here's what I'm expecting to do. Like I said, just get through my rotation at least once, maybe 1.5 rotations throughout the year. But I'm also expecting that I want to have a couple new starts in the works. So I've made a short list of the projects that I want to have as new starts on standby for whenever I get the desire. And of course I reserve the right to change my mind at any time, but I did go through my projects, the ones that I have fabric for, maybe not the flosses yet, but that'll come with kitting it up later. And I created, like I said, a short list of projects that I think I will pull from whenever I would like to have a new start in this next year. So I'm going to show you those. So the first project I have on standby is this one here. This is from the Witchy Stitcher on Etsy, and it's called the Stitcher's Grimoire. And it's just a cute little Halloween themed grimoire for Stitchers. There's lots of Stitcher themed Halloween things. So we have the cauldron with the frog. There is the Devil's Floss, which is like a metallic. Eternal 310, because we use black for everything. Case in point, this pattern. There's the needle stick, you know, various Stitcher themed things, which I think are cute and quirky little plays on paranormal and cross stitching. And I have this on standby, and I have this fabric, which is 28 count Monster Mash by Picture This Plus. That is not the called for fabric, but it is pretty dang close. And since I had it in my stash already, I wanted to use it. Actually, you know what? It might be the called for. I don't think it is though. I mean, I looked in here and I didn't actually see a called for fabric unless I just totally missed it. So if that's not it, it's pretty dang close. So this is one of my first options for a new start. My second option is this project here. This is Wood Witch, and it came from the Raven Stitchcraft Etsy shop. I do believe, I just watched her video earlier today. Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, is doing a Raven Stitchcraft stitch along. So that might be some incentive for me to start this one whenever it's time. And I'm going to stitch it on this fabric here, which is Mushroom Stew by Oak Crown Studios. Let me open it up for you. So it's coming across more gold than it is in person. It's a lot more peachy, but it is a really good neutral. And I think what I'm going to do, so the fabric, or I'm sorry, the floss color that's called for is 310 naturally, but I'm going to switch it to the 3371, that dark brown or something similar, to stitch on Mushroom Stew, which, I mean, I feel like Mushroom Stew may even be what she's cooking in here, right? That's kind of perfect. So this I have set aside as an option to start. Now, both of those are kind of like Halloween themed, right? We have a witch in this one, and then the other one is a grimoire. But I don't really do seasonal stitching in terms of like I don't reserve Halloween stitching for October or Christmas stitching for December. I stitch what I want when I want. So if I want to start this particular project or the grimoire in like April, that's okay with me. The next one I have set up is actually going to be a series. So, and I just showed this in my latest Flosstube. I bought these 4 houses from the Fabulous Houses series by Cottage Garden Samplings. The tree house, the cottage, the hobbit house, and then the fairy house. And I'm going to stitch them as a quad together. So while these will be 4 separate patterns and technically 4 separate finishes, I'm going to stitch them all on one piece of fabric. And that is this fabric here. This is a 25 count Lugana in the color Moss, and I'm going to do it over 1. So I have those all grouped together and ready to go for whenever I want to start those. And then the last option that I have as a possible start, which I think at the moment is the one I'm most inclined to start, but I mean, give it a month and that'll change, is this one here. This is a Kooler Design Studio pattern called Flowers and Lace by Sandy Orton. Bring it in a little bit closer, and isn't that so beautiful? I love it so much. And the fabric that I have chosen for this is this one here. So this is Desert Opalescent, which is a 32 count Lugana. So that, won't that be so beautiful? That lace stitching on this sparkly opalescent fabric. Come on, that is gonna look really good. I love this fabric, and I'm probably actually gonna go buy more of it because it is so pretty. It's hard to tell in the camera, but the opalescent actually has like a blue-green reflect in it. So it has this subtlest, like, cool tone. It really looks like sand to me. And I just love a Kooler Design Studio pattern, so I think when it comes time to start, I'm gonna do this one. But like I said, ask me again in a month and that'll maybe totally different. Let me know what you think in terms of the 4 that I've shown. Tell me which one's your favorite or that you would want to start. Okay, so that is my wrap up. That was my 2024 in review. And my plans for 2025. If you have any questions at all, let me know. I will have everything that I can linked down below, including any Flosstubers I mentioned. And if you want to shoot me a comment or shoot me an email with any questions or anything you want to chit chat about, you can also reach out to me on Instagram. And I will catch up with you guys throughout the year. I hope that you all had a wonderful new year, and I hope that you have lots of time for stitching here in 2025. So, from Milo and I, we say Happy New Year and happy stitching. Bye, guys. Bye.
I keep you in my heart is where you are. I still think of you, I want you come